Hey, what are you looking at? Why are you staring at me? What's going on? We're making ciabatta bread today. Sweet spots, Thursdays 3 minutes. If you've never made bread before, this will be the best bread you've ever made. Roll them. Let me tell you how I ended up with these beautiful loaves of bread. I was taking a walk. A slow walk, a walk in the park. I can say it's a walk in the park because it was a walk in a park. Anyway, I'm moving along, minding my own business, and I come up to a bunch of pine trees. A cluster, a slough, a grove, whatever, a bunch of trees. And then it dawned on me, I need to get back to the kitchen to make some bread. And I'll share the story of how we ended up with this ciabatta. Thursdays 3 minutes. Let's start the clock right now. A real ciabatta bread starts with a starter. How do you make a starter? We're making Poolish. Poolish, P-O-O-L-I-S-H. A generous 1/4 teaspoon of dry active yeast. This is not hard. Stick with me on this. 1½ cups of water. Let this sit for a minute or two. We're not looking to proof, we're just looking to hydrate the yeast. Baking bread is like being a scientist. You have a formula you have to follow. If you stray too far, not good results. But remember my promise, if this is the first time you made bread, this will be the best bread you've ever made. We need bread flour. Bread flour, high protein, makes lots of gluten, makes the air bubbles, makes the bread hold its shape. I strongly recommend that you weigh your flour. We need 11¼ ounces. That's about 2 stuffed cups of flour. If you just use the scoop and level method, we stir this to thoroughly mix. Stir and stir. It looks like a sticky mess, but this imparts a heavenly flavor. This is the magic. Cover this with plastic wrap and set aside in your kitchen for 3 to 4 hours. It's ready when the top is covered with bubbles. After the 3 to 4 hours, if you're not ready to make the bread now, stick it in the fridge and you can take it out the next day. Then let it come back to room temperature before you proceed. Luckily, through the power of the internet, we have one here, ready to go. And this next part is not hard. It's not hard if you have a stand mixer. It's a little bit harder if you don't. Transfer the Poolish to a mixing bowl. Add 3/4 cup of water. Add a generous 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast to let it hydrate. And let it sit for a minute or two. Bread flour, bread flour, bread flour. Who wants bread flour? The ciabatta wants bread flour, 13½ ounces or about 2½ cups. Next in 1¾ teaspoons of salt. Next in 2 ounces of olive oil. Use your mixer's paddle on slow speed to combine these ingredients. When everything's combined, switch to the dough hook. Let the dough hook knead about 5 to 7 minutes. You want the dough to be stretchy. After about 3 or 4 minutes, as the hook turns, it should pull the dough from the edges of the bowl, but not from the bottom. When it's done, you have a nice elastic pull. The dough shouldn't tear, it should stretch. Sprinkle enough flour on your counter to make an 8 or 9 inch square. Wet your hands and turn the dough out onto the counter. Pat it into a square. We want to gently mist the top of the dough with a little bit of olive oil. Sprinkle flour on it so that when we lay this plastic wrap on it, it doesn't stick. Let it rest for about 30 minutes. At this point, we want to stretch the dough about 3 times the size, very gently. Fold one side over, then fold the other side over. Mist with olive oil and douse with a little flour. Again, cover with plastic wrap. Now we want to let this sit about 1½ to 2 hours. This is the fun part. Watch this baby grow. Next up, generously flour a piece of parchment paper. If your parchment isn't large enough, you may need a couple sheets. We've reached the scary part, the first of 2 scary parts. With a wet bench scraper, if you have one, or a knife, carefully cut the dough into thirds, trying not to deflate this beautiful mass. With wet fingers and/or a bench scraper, carefully lift up these cut pieces of dough, stretch these out about 3 times the length, and then again, fold them like an envelope, one side over the other. Pull the parchment up so the loaves don't grow together as they proof. More waiting, about 45 minutes, maybe 60, until the dough is swollen and puffy. If you have a baking stone, now's the time to use it. I don't have one, so I stack a bunch of sheet pans on top of one another. We want to preheat the oven to 500 degrees and put a roasting pan on the bottom shelf we'll use to create steam. I'm excited! Time to get these babies in the oven. I use scissors to trim the parchment. Danger! Danger! It's hot in here! Quickly and safely, we want to slide the loaves onto the baking surface. Add a cup of hot water to the steam pan and close the oven door. Wait about 30 seconds. With a clean spray bottle filled with water, quickly mist the sides of the oven to make steam and close the door. Wait about 30 seconds and repeat twice more. Now turn the oven down to 450 degrees and set the timer for 18 minutes. The loaves should be a nice golden brown. If you have a probe thermometer, stick it in. The loaves should be 205 degrees and they're done. Oh my! Pull these babies out, separate the parchment paper and let them cool completely on a cooling rack. Whoa! Thursday's 3 minutes and we made it! Taste test time. I love this. Let me cut this baby right now. Beautiful. Nice texture, big bubbles. Let me cut a piece. Soft, a nice crust on it. This tastes like real bread. It is real bread. Wow. Flour, water, yeast, a little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil. Easy, a little time consuming. I've got some good olive oil here, some freshly ground pepper, a sprinkle or two of red pepper flakes, and a pinch of kosher salt. I feel like I could be in Italy. Ciabatta bread, awesome. If you're not a subscriber, now's the time to subscribe. Hit the link, give us a thumbs up. We'd love your comments. Until next time, this is it for Sweet Spot. I have a story of how we ended up with these. I'm walking along, just take mine and let me tell you how I ended up with these beautiful loaves of bread. Quickly and safely, we want to slide the loaves onto the sheet.